Hello to everyone. My name is Shavi Zane. I'm glad that you all could join me again at this time. This particular discussion that we're going to have is a follow up from a previous message that some of you was able to see, some of you were not able to see. But as promised, I said that I would come back in and that we will find a way to get those messages out there that the masses need to hear. So this message is in regards to the blue pill, red pill or blue pill. Now, I have a lot of very smart people who join my videos, okay, who follow my discussions that I have here and the messages that are brought forth through me. And you're very intelligent people, okay? So we all know red pill or blue pill. We're going to go ahead and get this message out there, okay? So today we're going to be talking about those who have been taking the blue pill. What is the agenda behind the blue pill? And he who have ears, let him hear. If you are not awakened enough to understand that we have to create our own language in order to get messages out there, then just keep on doing the work. But for those of you who understand, then you follow me. We're going to go ahead and see what this is all about, okay? So I want to go ahead and tell you all a recap of what I had in my previous video that some of you was not able to see. Many of you were not able to see, okay? So what was brought forward is that those who have been taking the blue pill, the prison system was largely targeted. Those who are in the prison system, actual prisoners, are largely targeted. And what was also brought forth is that they are targeted by 5G. Those who take the blue pill, there's 5G that's largely being placed in their environment, okay? And that's a large part of the wicked agenda against those who are in the prison system, and that somehow this 5G is working within the physical vessels of those who have taken the blue pill, and it is causing some sort of reaction, those two things in conjunction with one another, okay? What also came forth is that poverty, those who are in poverty are also largely affected by taking the blue pill. And it's largely due to the fact that they are placed in a position where they have to choose. Take the blue pill and keep my current position of stability, or lose my position of stability wherever they work or whatever they do as a career path, and reject the blue pill, and end up in a position where I may not be able to take care of my family, right? Please keep in mind, though, that lack mentality has been largely pushed over the masses for the past few hundred years, okay? This has been a large part of the agenda to make you codependent on the current structure. And so it's almost as if, well, if we don't have a school system, if we don't have big pharma, if we don't have the pill pushers, if we don't have the governmental structure, if we don't have XYZ, grocery stores and all of this, then how are we going to survive? Well, I implore you to empower yourself, take your power back, and recognize that you was not placed here to be dependent on anyone. You alone, as the vessel that you have been created as, is enough to survive and to sustain. You do not need to be codependent on a structure, nor do you need to be codependent on a particular position or title. It's very important for you to awaken to the fact that we are spirits having a human experience. And so that gives us the authority to be co-creators of our existence. But first, you must know the power that you possess in the spiritual realm, because the enemy understood the importance of manipulating things in the spiritual realm first before he began to manifest and use those things against you in the physical realm. The enemy is well aware of this. And so you, operating from a space of integrity, love, light, you know who you are. You know your direct connection to the Most High. Many of you know that you are children of the Most High God. Many of you know that you are chosen children of the Most High God. So you have to be aware of the fact that Without a wicked structure, you will survive. You're going to do more than just survive. You will thrive without being under the stronghold of a wicked structure. It's all about reprogramming and reconstructing the way that you view this thing, okay? Taking a look at this from a spiritual aspect, stepping outside of the material world and seeing this from a higher level of consciousness. This is what the awakening is all about. And so the agenda of the blue pill, the pill pusher, the blue pill, okay, is to put you back to sleep. That's also what was revealed here, to put you back to sleep. I also want to get back into the prison system. Another part that was revealed is the fact that it's also about causing those in the prison system to detach. Detach was the exact word that came out to describe what the blue pill was to do to those who decide to take it. In conjunction with the 5G, it is all created to come together to turn them into zombies, to cause them to detach from their emotions, detach from the spiritual aspect of themselves, and to only operate from their lower nature, okay? And so I also have here that this is a controlled environment. And so those who take the blue pill that are incarcerated, especially if they have an incarceration for multiple years, then it is a controlled environment where the so-called powers that were are able to monitor them. They are now the experimental vessels that are used to see how does this work? How will this influence the masses on a larger scale? Because they have all of these different prison systems with all of these different people in there, many of them taking the blue pill out of fear. Okay, then you have some who have said, I'm going to maintain my kingdomship. I'm a king and I know I'm a king, whether I'm behind bars or not, I'm still a king. And they say, no, I'm not going to take it. I've awakened. I know who I am. Okay. And so they say no. And so they have those on this side and the others on another side. Now, I don't know if they've actually separated them. They probably have. Okay. But either way, if they are emitting this 5G into the atmosphere, into the air, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, then that is actually affecting, having some sort of direct effect on the blue pill, whatever is in their body as they take that blue pill, okay, and causing them to react in a certain type of way. He who have ears, let him hear. Y'all follow me, okay? And so it's also, what also came forward was 5 to 10 years and DNA activation prevention of DNA activation. And so another part of the blue pill agenda is to cause DNA to remain dormant, to stay asleep so that it is not activated, because part of DNA activation allows you to awaken certain things, to gain an understanding, to awaken certain abilities, certain gifts, okay, using your mind, more of your mind, because they say that right now we're only using 10% of our brain. And so that lets you know that as the DNA awakens, there's many different things that the human is capable of doing. But because you have been put asleep spiritually, your physical vessel follows suit. Everything takes place in the spiritual realm first, and it trickles down and manifests in the physical. And so when they put you to sleep spiritually, your body also went to sleep spiritually, physically. Your body went to sleep on a DNA level, okay, on a biochemical level. And so the agenda and the goal of the pill pusher is to create a certain reaction that causes your DNA to remain asleep. Now, keeping in mind that right now, a lot of people are awakening because I told you all before, the shift has already occurred from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. Now, what does that mean for this particular subject matter? The age of Pisces is what we left out of, which is the symbol of the fish. The fish also represents water. Water represents emotions. In the age of Pisces, the so-called powers that were established their, or they was able to maintain their structure by inciting or being heavily influenced on the emotions of people. How did they do that? They used certain things such as the religious structure, okay? And an example of using the religious structure to play on the emotions of people, water, the age of Pisces, is they, you go to church, right? And in the church structure, Most of the time you come in and what's the first thing they do? They'll play about 5 songs that's going to either get you hyped and emotional, or it's going to get you feeling sad, or some kind of way they're going to play on your emotions, and you're going to find yourself in a river of tears, right? So they have perfected making certain music, okay, to incite or to influence the emotions, so that by the time they pull you in with through your emotions, they can now feed your mind with the information that they want you to absorb and to carry with you for generations. And so that's exactly what happened. You go into these religious establishments and they work on your emotions. Another way of using the emotions in the age of Pisces was a large part of inciting fear over the masses. How did they do this? Through public lynchings. They did this through racial divide. They did this through just various things, lack mentality, causing you to feel as if you have to stay in survival mode. And in survival mode, it's like, okay, well, if I don't have enough materialism to stunt over here, then I'm going to go and hurt the next man in order to get it, whether it's outright or in secret. Because keep in mind that many of these people who are so-called wealthy, they're the biggest criminals there is. Now, I'm not saying every wealthy person is a criminal. I'm saying those who do it behind the scenes, okay, who are sacrificing people, doing rituals and parts of these and a part of these cults. These are the people that are the true criminals. These are the ones that are running the system. These are the ones that are pushing the blue pill in order to maintain their position of power. And so you have to see through this thing. That's one of the things that came out. And so in the age of Aquarius, which is where we are now, the age Aquarius, it stands for air. It's an air sign. And so a large part of their agenda, because as I told you all before, they have been watching planetary alignments and shifts. Why? Because not because they came in with this knowledge. No, they stole this knowledge from the original people who understood this wisdom, the wisdom of the stars. Okay. They did not, the so-called powers that be right now, the powers that were, they had no knowledge of these things. But because they was able to go into so many different countries and take and steal their, those things that they possess, like the scrolls and, even inside of the pyramids and, different things that they was able to take from various cultures of people who possessed ancient wisdom. And they used it to their advantage and hid it from those of us who that knowledge belongs to, who naturally possess that knowledge, okay, and who have the ability based on the DNA makeup to use that knowledge and to actually create, to become the co-creators and to actually use it to tear down their structure. They decided to hide it from those of us who really possess that knowledge, who that knowledge truly belongs to, and they took it and they've placed it in their museums. They've placed it in their wherever they hide this information at, okay? And they use it in secret. That's why they have all of these secret societies, because they have taken the ancient wisdom and they have used it to their advantage to maintain their kingdom. And so in the age of Aquarius right now, the blue pill largely deals with using things of the air in order to influence the masses, military weapons such as 5G, such as frequencies, radioactive waves, these different things that they're doing through the element of air, because we're in the age of Aquarius. And they know that right now, this is the time where people are awakening to thinking, a lot of thinking now, whereas people was put to sleep and thinking was like, okay, we're acting on emotions. We're not acting on our thought process, because that was shut down for a time. And when you're asleep, you are not able to use your mind to make certain decisions. So in that zombie-like state, being unconscious at that time, you was reacting in your emotions in the age of Pisces. And they use that energy, the energy of the element of water, to maintain their structure there. Now they're using the element of air, and they're using military weapons that deal with the air to go against the masses as well. And so the 5G in conjunction with the blue pill is somehow coming together to create a sort of reaction within the DNA, okay, on a biochemical level of the physical vessel, okay? And the prison system is largely being used as a controlled environment to see how this is going to affect, and specifically the black and brown the melanated man, because that's who largely populates the prison system for the majority. They can watch for 5, 10, 15 years to come. And then if some of these people are released and they go on to have children, then they watch and monitor their children to see how does this influence the genetic markers, mark of the beast, okay? The genetic markers, okay, because we're talking about them coming in, and they've been doing a lot of research on the genes, okay, on DNA expression. They've been doing a lot of research behind closed doors, and so they've been planning this for quite some time. And now we're here in the time of the awakening. The awakening does not just deal with your mind awakening or your spirit awakening to who you are, but it also deals with that dormant DNA awakening, DNA activation happening as well in the physical. And so you awaken your gifts and your powers, the powers that we always possessed since way back when. And they was in awe of that. They never understood that. And so they came in and they stole our knowledge of who we were. They took it from us and they beat into us a false projection of who we are. Okay. And so this is what the agenda is to put back to sleep the masses, especially particular groups of people, melanated people who naturally possess this information within our Akashic records. We naturally possess the understanding of these things. Okay. And so, what else here? We also have here, what else came out? Okay, so what I want to do, because there's a lot more that came out, but I want to pull so that you all can see what is the agenda of the blue pill. And we're just going to talk, okay? Because that was pretty much a brief synopsis of what actually came out. So what flew here is population control. Those who take the blue pill, this is all about population control. Now, we've been hearing about that for quite some time now, population control. And so anytime you try to do such drastic measures to control the population of people, then that means that you fear losing control. So this is all about these people maintaining control and power over the masses. And so they will go to extreme measures to cause certain issues within the human body, within the mind, within the spirit, in order to maintain that. And also, I was just getting ready to say something here, but it just slipped my mind. So let me just keep going here. It'll come out. But yes, population control. Neglect. Okay, we have neglect coming out. Population control, neglect. We're going to see what this is here. Judgment. Okay, so judgment is here. In terms of the blue pill, I'm going to clarify all of these cards to see what this means here. Okay, we have politics. Yeah, these two cards came out together. Politics and honest intention. So we know that those who are in a position of political power, okay, those who are in position of political power come forward with this false mask of honest intentions, okay? And they have people who have certain positions, okay, that are well respected amongst society, which that is all part of conditioning and brainwashing as well, because in order to, how can you respect any group of people that work in conjunction with the criminal system? How can you respect or even trust them? That's just like if you knew me to be a mass murderer, but I have people that I'm close with that, you know, they smile. They smile all the time and they say nice things. They say good morning and they shake your hand. You're still going to look at them like guilty by association because I'm the leader of this criminal, this corrupt structure, right? But I have these people who come forward as my representative. They come to represent me as I sit in the background and dictate. But because they come forward with this smile on their face and wearing this false mask and presenting these honest intentions, you already know who's dictating them. You know that the person behind them, the one who is the puppet master, is a criminal, a mass criminal. But yet you still say, well, I know what they're doing behind the scenes. I know this was created from a criminal structure, but I'm still going to trust I'm still going to trust that particular senator because he's just a good guy. He seems really nice. But he's also working alongside these same people, okay? So they fool you, okay? And they've done a pretty good job at that, but that's only because many were asleep. So, let's see. Stand up. Yes, many people are now standing up, okay? Incite fears at the bottom here, okay? So standing up, people are no longer allowing them to incite fear but there are many people who are convinced because they're taking the blue pill, right? These people are taking the blue pill and they are allowing this fear to cause them to make a decision that goes against their own moral compass, that goes against their own intuitive nudges. Because another thing that did come out was social media was also mentioned in my last one. And what came out with that was many people, as I mentioned before, many people that I saw down my timeline, for instance, when they were in question as to whether or not they should take the blue pill, they would make a post about it. Well, has anybody else taken the blue pill? And if you did, how are you feeling right now? Because I'm really thinking about it and I'm scared. So I just want to know what happened with you. And then they get enough people that come up underneath their post and say, well, I took the blue pill and I feel perfectly fine. I took the blue pill and I had the shivers for about a week, but I feel fine. Or some will say, well, I took the blue pill, but whatever. But if they have enough people to say, well, I took it, then that's enough for them to go and get in line. If they have enough people that would like their post when they say, well, I got the first blue pill and I'm about ready to go take and get another blue pill because that thing, then you get a lot of people that's liking then. And so when you get a certain amount of people that's backing you and supporting you, social media is largely used as a way to trick the psyche into thinking that, okay, people are supporting me taking this. And there's many other people who are saying that they have taken it and they feel perfectly fine. But again, understand that these people, the so-called powers that were, they do things well in advance. They plan well in advance. They plan an age in advance if they can help it. Leave it up to them, they would love to be able to move into the next age and still be in a position of power. And so you better believe they're behind the scenes trying to figure out what wicked agenda can they do next to ensure that another 5 to 10 generations from now, they will still be here. And this is why they are working on using this blue pill to work on the DNA of those who take it. Because through your DNA, through your genetic marker, they can actually insert their mark, okay? They have worked on this behind the scenes to insert their mark to ensure that your DNA is not awakened and that you are not awakened to the powerful being that you are, okay? And one thing that we also must understand is that when this planetary alignment shifted, the planet moved actually closer to the sun. And so because we are closer to the sun, DNA activation is happening that much more quickly. Awakening is happening that much more quickly. And naturally in the physical realm, what do you think? If the sun, whenever you have the sunlight shining on your eyes, if you're asleep and somebody opens up the curtains, what's going to happen? You wake up and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, no, did you really just open up the curtains on me like that? Give me some time to wake up. And so that's what's happening here. When the planet shifted closer to the sun, many people begin to awaken. Why? Because their DNA began to become activated, especially those who have melanin, high amounts of melanin in their skin. And people who have a lot of melanin in their skin absorb the UV rays of the sun. What is the sun? The sun is information. The sun is life source energy, okay? So melanated people absorb the UV rays of the sun within their entire being, not just within the outer part of them. Melanin is all throughout the physical vessel, the organs, the brain of melanated people. And so because of this, this is the time where melanated people are waking up and are rising into their divinity. Of course, the Most High structured it this way so that we would awaken at this time because he orchestrated the entire universe. Okay, it goes infinite. It's infinite, okay, out there. But the Most High, he constructed it this way so that no one would be able to keep us asleep forever. They was hoping that they would have that they would be able to outdo the Most High God. But I mean, you got to be foolish. But the only reason why they was foolish enough to believe that they could is because they had elevated themselves so much so to think that they was actually above the Most High, because the Most High allowed for this to happen only because he had already orchestrated and constructed that things would shift when he was ready for it to shift. Okay? So now these people are hoping to buy more time by influencing the DNA of those who take the blue pill. And so population control. Let me clarify population control. What is this all about? Say no. Say no. Population control is the fact that there's many people within the population. The masses are now stepping up and saying no. And so they have to gain. I told you, anybody that's worried about controlling people is worried about losing control of people. Why are they worried about losing control? Because there's many people that's getting ready to start saying no to this wicked system, because they're awakening now to the agenda. They're seeing right through the matrix. And so now they have to find a way to control the masses. What can we do now? Well, we have to come up with a way to convince them that the blue pill is the right thing to take. Okay? And so we have to incite fear. We have to come up with a plan to incite fear. And we have to collaborate with those who have been working to maintain their position of power. Many other countries and things of that nature have also been, encouraging the blue pill. And so population control is the fact that many people are stepping up to finally say no. And so it's like, oh, we have to regain control of this, because if too many people stand up and say no, then that means we have nothing to stand on. Can you imagine when it comes to currency? Okay. And I'm just throwing a lot of things in here because it's just coming through. Currency, which is money, right? Right now, currency is the paper dollar, a green paper dollar with some Caucasian men on it who were slave owners and things of that nature. Very much so a large part of this criminal structure. They built the criminal structure. They were the forefathers, the founders of the criminal structure of the U.S. corporation, right? But their currency it's been popular in terms of the masses using it. Only because, why? Because the masses approved of it and said, we accept it as such. We accept it as being the currency that we would use in order to make exchanges for goods. Okay? But prior to that, there was other methods of currency, because what is currency? Currency is energy. And so anything you put your focus in on and your attention into, you actually make it grow. It becomes more powerful based on the group consciousness. And so if the group consciousness shifts and we say no, wealth no longer means that we have a whole bunch of your green paper with your wicked forefathers on there. No, wealth means that we make exchange, we barter. Okay, I have this gift of sowing, so I'm gonna sow you a dress. You can give me some of your crops, or I'm going to teach your child, and you can teach me how to heal myself through your herbs, okay? Or you could teach me how to heal myself through your healing hands, your Reiki, or your gift of speaking and helping me to uplift or empower myself, and I'll give you XYZ. We all possess infinite abundance in that way. But first you have to know that you are powerful enough and that what you have is of value. What you have outside of paper money is valuable. Let's get back to this because there's so many things that we got to talk about, y'all. Population control. So say no. So that's why they're trying to cause this population control, because many people are awakening and are saying no to many different things, okay? We was just talking about this, okay? Wealthy. Wasn't we just talking about that? So population control deals with what people consider wealth to be, how people perceptualize that, okay? And so if you release yourself from that mindset and you begin to see the value that you have, that you naturally possess within you on an individual scale, you awaken to your own personal power, then collectively, we all come together as one group consciousness to put the energy out there that says we no longer need to be codependent on your wicked structure, because we now create the kingdom through us first as individuals, and now we come together to create the kingdom as a whole, okay, as one body. And so population controls deals with keeping you in this mindset of what wealth looks like. They want to feed you the picture of what that looks like. They don't want you to have your own idea of what wealth is, because if you begin to recognize that you are infinitely abundant and that your birthright is to be sovereign and to be free and to be abundant in all ways outside of their structure, they're in trouble. So we have to put y'all back to sleep, okay? Take the damn blue pill, right? But no, okay? Many people are saying no. So now we have neglect. What is neglect? 5 to 10 years. When I think about neglect concerning this blue pill, it's like trauma bonding. It's like Stockholm syndrome. It's like putting the masses in a position where I'm your mammy, I'm your pappy. I'm the one that takes care of you. My structure is what feeds you. I clothe you. I house you. I give you XYZ. That's why they have it set up this way, so that many people are scrambling and afraid, saying, well, what are we going to do if there's no food in the grocery store? Do you not recognize that the grocery store, there was a time when grocery stores did not exist? We got to come up out of this mindset, the shackles of the mind, where we believe that we literally have to be in a position to be able to walk into a grocery store to go grocery shopping, or we're just going to die. The Most High didn't create you that way. He created you to be a survivor. But we don't have to be surviving. Absent this wicked structure, we will no longer be in survival mode. You've been in survival mode. The masses have been in survival mode with the structure in place. But now, because you can visibly see that the beast is dying and that certain things are no longer going to be standing, now you're saying, well, now we're going to go into survival mode. No, you're going to be thriving without a wicked structure. It's going to be the exact opposite, but it's all first in the mind. You have to first reprogram, restructure, recondition your mindset, and knowing that we can create together. What the heck do you mean? All we have to do is just get out here. This is a big world. This is a huge world, and all it takes is for us to come together and to recognize, okay, we got what it takes. Come on now, we got this. 5 to 10 years from now, they want to make you feel as if they have left you abandoned because you're their abandoned child now. So if they can make you feel abandoned, and 5 to 10 years from now, those children who are born from those who have taken the blue pill, they're going to be in a codependent mindset, because in a world where everything is shifting, everything is changing, many people are awakening. It's going to be this energy of, what do I do? I don't know what to do, because they can't awaken. Why? Because they have received this blue pill that has affected them on a biochemical level that is causing them to not be able to see things from a higher level of consciousness. It keeps them in their lower energy, and in that lower energy, you're in survival mode. In your carnal nature, in your lower nature, you are in survival mode. You are in addictions. You are in materialism and ego. And so that is in direct opposition to the energy that we are in right now. Because the planetary alignments have shifted and we have moved closer to the earth is closer to the sun, literally the vibrational frequency around us is that much higher, is moving that much faster. And so this is why some of you are like, well, it feels weird, or even some people admit to having certain vibrations within their body. I feel it all the time in certain areas. I feel it in my legs, or like a certain pounding or a vibration throughout my body. I felt it in the back of my head the other day, and it was so noticeable. I had to sit down. I was like, oh my goodness, this is, it wasn't uncomfortable, but it was very much so unexpected. And so these are different activations that are happening within our physical vessels, because the vibrational frequency that surrounds us in the atmosphere is that much more heightened. Okay. And so these people who are not able to awaken, those generations that that come from those who have taken the blue pill, especially those who have taken multiple blue pills, first, second, third, fourth. I don't know how many of these blue pills they're gonna try to push. These are some pill poppers out here, if you ask me. 5 to 10 years from now, those generations are still going to be asleep, and it's going to be hard for them to survive or to maintain in an environment where everything is just naturally heightened, the energy. Because that's one thing that they can't change. They can't shift that because we are closer to the sun. And so naturally, the sun is energy. It's the highest form of energy that we have in our solar system. And so because we're closer to it, those of us who have awakened, especially those of us who stay out in nature, or if you sun gaze a lot, or if you take in a lot of fresh fruits, live fresh fruits and vegetables, or herbs, you put those on your bodies, or natural oils that are full of herbs in your hair and over your body, and soaps that are full of herbs. By the way, I do make those, just to let y'all know. If you're interested, you can always email me. I've been making that for quite some time now. Many of you tend to ask me about my skin, so that was just something I wanted to put out there. Anyways, so neglect, they make you feel that abandonment, okay? Those who are not able to make the shift and understand that they do not have to be dependent on the system. Without certain things within the system, they feel neglected and abandoned. And so what does a abandoned person do? Someone who is codependent. They chase the person that has left them, okay? Or they just go within themselves and go into this energy of depression. What does depression lead to? It leads to illness. And then you end up being codependent on the system in another way through your health. Okay. And so it's all one big ball of just nastiness that this blue pill actually brings. And so let's see, what is judgment here? What is that? I'm just clarifying the cards that have already come out. Fear of exposure is what judgment is all about. Okay. So judgment has been clarified by fear of exposure. We know they're afraid of exposure just based off of what they did to my channel, right? Okay, so let's just, we know this, okay? But that does not change the fact that Judgment Day is here, all right? And so fear of exposure, what will a criminal do when they're afraid of being exposed for their crimes? Because once you're exposed for your crimes, then you know at that point you have to actually accept there's karmic debt that you incur, that you have to pay back in the spiritual realm and in the physical realm based on the crimes that you've committed. And so fear of exposure means that light, that sunlight that we have, that shining so close to the planet, things can't be hidden no more because we're closer to the sun now. We're in the age of Aquarius now. We're in a time of revelations now. They fear that judgment that's coming in. And so who are the ones that actually bring the judgment down on their heads? The ones who actually impose the judgment are the awakened ones. It is those of us who are the children of the Most High God, the goddesses and gods and goddesses, kings and queens, all of those of you who have awakened, that know who you are. We are here to establish the new kingdom. We first establish it within ourselves, and we take our power back, okay, our personal power. We recognize who we are, and then we come forward to create the kingdom in the physical as a joint body that has awakened, okay? And so these people, they fear their judgment. And because they know that their judgment, once they're exposed, that's when judgment comes. Okay? And so they try to shut this down if they can put you to sleep, especially those of you who are chosen to create the kingdom. If they can put you to sleep through the blue pill, then you will not be in a position to exact judgment over them. But they completely forget that the Most High God is the one that exacts the first judgment, okay? And so in their attempts, they're missing the mark because the Most High said, no, I established it, that in this time, my children will awaken and that you will be exposed, that your crimes and all of these things that you have done in darkness would now be brought to light. So now they're scrambling. Now they're trying to find, these people are fearful of exposure. And so what does a criminal do when they're afraid of being revealed and exposed? They go and do more criminal activity to cover up the other criminal activity. So it's like a snowball effect. Once you tell one lie, you got to tell a million more. And so now they're trying to use other tactics in hopes that it will put the masses back to sleep. But those of us who have awakened, it's not going to work. So let's see what else we have here. Politics. Let's clarify what politics is. Politics is fear tactics, okay? So yes, politics, they come forward and they play these politics with you. And they have certain political figures that'll come forward and say, well, based on this research and this yada, 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 and in our state, we are noticing these numbers who are not taking the blue pill versus those who have taken the red pill, and the inflation of this and that, and yada, yada, yada. It's all fear tactics. Right up underneath that is to incite fear. So we got both of those, okay? Two different decks, inciting fear and fear tactics, okay? And so that's what this is all about here. A targeted group, okay? Yes, they do have a targeted group, and as I was telling you all, those who are in the prison system are largely comprised of melanated people. And as I told you before, those of us who are melanated, because of the times that we are in, we are the ones who are awakening at on a much larger scale. And I always tell y'all, there's no shade. It just is what it doggone is. We're going to accept that, okay? We have to accept the facts to be just what it is, okay? Melanated people absorb the energy of the sun. We are closer to the sun now. And so in the time of awakening, as we absorb the energy of the sun is full of information, it's full of life source. It awakens and it activates the DNA within the melanated man and woman, and we awaken to our powers as long as you have not taken that blue pill. So let's see. What else is coming out? Now, it doesn't say, because I don't, for those who have taken the blue pill and who have awakened and now are in this energy of, well, man, I should not have taken it. I would really highly advise that you do a serious detoxing and a purging of your physical vessel to really send the messages. Now you're working on shifting the energy. You know that the DNA is housed in water. You want to do all measures, playing 528 hertz, sitting out in the grass, planting your feet in the grass, sun gazing on a regular basis, drinking plenty of pH balanced water, eating live fruits and vegetables, eliminating all acidic foods from your diets. Like I'm talking about going on a strict purge, cleanse, fast, as long as you possibly can. Okay? And allow your body to purge and to cleanse the chemicals of the blue pill, if that's where you find yourself in at this time, okay? All is not lost. I would not say all is lost, because we're not going to give these people that much power to believe that if they fooled a few people into or incited, because again, fear is coming out all over this, incited fear, okay? And you have found yourself where you have awakened, that's what I strongly, strongly suggest. But if you're still going to take in a lot of acidic things and you're still going to feed your vessel with certain music that you shouldn't be listening to, watching certain things, or being around certain people in the spiritual realm and in the physical realm, you are directly affecting and influencing your genetic makeup, as well as the thoughts you're having, everything. You got to really just do a straight purge and a straight healing. And I do strongly believe that you can turn this thing around, okay? As long as you've only taken one blue pill. But if you out there just taking multiple blue pills and you a pill popper at this time, then I don't know what to tell you, okay? It might not be for you in this lifetime to awaken. So let's see what else is coming out here in terms of the agenda behind the blue pill. Future health crisis. Okay, future health crisis. Ooh, I spelled that all wrong, y'all. Don't be looking at my spelling. Future health crisis. So that's what I was telling you all in terms of neglect 5 to 10 years from now, when that person whose DNA is now dormant, they can't keep up with the high vibrational energy that's around them, because they're now their DNA is dormant, and there's this genetic marker, whatever it is, that this mark of the beast that they've attached to their DNA has now caused their DNA to remain asleep. And in conjunction with the 5G exposure, okay, because they are also putting this out in the environment. They've been doing this to all people, but I feel like the large controlled environment is within the prison system, where they're able to see the outcome on specific individuals. It's more of a controlled setup there. 5 to 10 years from now, those people, or even beyond that, future health crisis is what they're hoping to cause through the blue pill. And so if you cause a future health crisis, then you can activate trauma bonding and Stockholm syndrome. You can activate that energy, right? And so people are now going to be clamoring to you, looking for the current structure to help them. And then they swoop in like Superman, right? And say, well, we have the cure and we have come up with this and that. And so people still remain fixed to them. They maintain that umbilical cord to them, mammy and pappy, feeling as if they have to stay close because otherwise they have no other option. These are the people, though, that cannot awaken to their own divinity. These are the people that will not awaken to their own divinity because there's something within them, their DNA, that does not allow them to awaken as with the shift that is happening, okay? And so in that energy, when you're asleep, most people that are asleep wouldn't even think of going towards herbal medicine in order to heal themselves. Most people that are asleep wouldn't even think of using frequencies in order to restructure their genetic blueprint. Most people who are asleep wouldn't even think about rearranging their thought process and releasing themselves from lack mentality. These people will stay in that. They will stay in survival mode. And in survival mode, what happens? When you're in that energy of trying to survive and all of that fear, okay, in survival mode, you are inciting the fear hormone, okay? And when you have an overactive energy, when you're in survival mode, that causes physical crisis, okay? That causes health crisis, okay? That causes physical illness when you are always in that fight or flight survival mode. And that's what the most of the world has been in for quite some time now. Many people didn't even realize it. They just thought it was the norm to be in a rush, rushing through traffic, about to hit somebody just so that you can clock in by 9 o'clock. Because if you get there at 9:02 or 9:03, you're going to get a strike on your record. And by the time you get up to 3 strikes, you're out. And so you losing your damn mind every morning, snapping on your kids, hollering at your husband or your wife. And this is what you do every single day, all the way up until you're 65, 70 years old, when you can finally retire and get $200 a month. The world has been in survival mode because of the current structure. That's what they wanted you to do. And many of those people ended up in illness. If you made it to 65 or 70, that's if you didn't have a stroke or a heart attack or a mental breakdown before then. Okay, or if you, because in that energy, you're always in a rush, you're always in a hurry, especially nowadays, then you find yourself eating a lot of things that you shouldn't be eating because you're just trying to hurry up and got to get your kids to bed, you got to get up in school. All of these types of things that you was doing, you had no time, or at least you allowed these people to fool you into believing that you had no time to actually take care of yourself. It was all about survival mode and making sure that you keep other people rich while they keep you poor. It's so important that the masses release yourselves, okay? Because I'm grateful that I can say I have released myself from lack mentality. So I want to encourage you all, if you're still in that energy, if you feel that your back is up against the wall, take the blue pill or you lose everything. You're not losing anything. You're gaining. Because by taking your power back and by saying no to the blue pill, you actually establish that you trust the Most High God and that you trust that He never would have created you and put you here to be in lack. So you have to understand that when you make such a drastic and a powerful decision to say no, knowing that it could mean that tomorrow is your last day based on the deadline that you've been given to take this blue pill, but you took your power back and you said no, then you are saying to the universe and all things that exist around you, I free my hands of all things that don't serve me, because I didn't even like that stinking ass job anyway. to receive all of my blessings. I receive my inheritance. I receive my birthright, which is my sovereignty, my peace of mind, my infinite abundance in all ways, my stability, okay, my health. You receive all of those things because you made a drastic decision to say no to something that could affect and influence you and generations that come after you. That is the agenda of the blue pill. So it's very important that you understand the power that you possess and that we all operate as a collective consciousness. Once we shift the energy and start saying no and taking our power back and doing the work, faith without works is dead. The works is saying no. The works is detoxing your body. The works is changing the way that you think, changing the way that you perceive things. Those are the works. No longer being codependent on the structure or on the system. Those are the works. And so in doing that, you are rewarded for that. Okay. So don't think that it will be in vain. It will not be in vain. Okay. You have to speak to your spiritual team, your holy angels, your ancestors of love and light that the Most High has placed around you. And you say, I want you all to show me. Make it clear to me what my purpose is. Show me how to empower and to strengthen myself so that as I release myself from this codependency of this structure, the codependency of this current position, the codependency of these chemicals that I am putting in my body on a regular basis to make myself believe that it is encouraging health when in fact the side effects that I'm dealing with is showing me otherwise. You take your power back and you say, I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to do the research. I'm going to look into what it is that I need to do in order to reverse. Okay. But it starts with the mind first. Listening to your affirmations all day, every day. If you got to play them the whole time that you're sleeping, play the affirmations so that you can reprogram your mind. I am powerful. I am strong. I am free. I am worthy. I am love. I attract love. I am healthy. Okay? All of these things, you have to do this and you have to consciously do this until you program yourself so much so till you get to the point where it's just a natural thought. And any thought that's in opposition to that, you automatically hear it and you're like, oh, hold on. Where did that come from? Because that's not even me. It becomes an unfamiliar thing to you. Right now, it's unfamiliar for many people to be in that positive energy and positive mindset, positive thoughts, gratitude all day, giving thanks for. It's so many things that you could be giving thanks for. That's energy that you're putting out there. That's raising your vibrations. That's giving you that direct connection to the Most High God when you're in the energy of gratitude in spite of. Because even if you had the least, okay, a lot of people wouldn't say that I have a whole lot, but I say I have a roof over my head. I have food to eat. My children are healthy. I'm healthy. I'm breathing. My mind is functioning well. I'm happy. I'm at peace. I'm not codependent on anyone or anything. When you can actually say these things, even if you don't have the same list that I have, is your pinky toe working? Is your big toe working? Are you able to see through those eyes? Can you go outside in sun gaze? Be thankful that you can go outside and breathe in the breath of life. When the wind blows, be thankful that the Most High say that's like the Most High. When I feel the wind blowing on me, it's like the Most High is just blowing his breath and saying, take that in. Go ahead and breathe in that good ass prana, like Ralph Smart says. Okay, I like him too. Take that in. Go outside and sun gaze. Be grateful that that energy is shining down on you. And as it's shining down on you, know that it's shining down on them plants. Those of you who are concerned about the grocery store, all we got to do is come together as collective body and say no and say, you know what? Okay, fine. To hell with your grocery stores. We're going to get together and we're going to start planning. We're going to start doing this for ourselves. But first we have to release the shackles off of our minds. Okay. Yeah, they might try to buck up because many of you are like, well, they have these military weapons. To hell with their military weapons because we have our spiritual team. The Most High God stands for us. And so all he got to do is shake things up. If he decided to open up the face of the earth and make them all fall in tomorrow through a doggone earthquake or something like that, he could. Okay? Tell all the locusts to go and bite their asses to death. All the birds to come out and peck their asses to death. Then the Most High could. So please understand that military weapons don't mean nothing. That's all just another fear tactic to make you think that these people got power. Okay? Don't be fooled. Don't let these people fool you. They want you to believe that they stand higher and stronger and more powerful than the Most High God. But they only fooling themselves, okay? So what I have here is, yeah, false promises. So it's going to be a lot of false promises that are made. They've been making many false promises so that many people will continue to remain fixed to the structure and dependent on the structure, okay? Mind control. Wasn't I just talking about that? Controlling your mind. And so that's what I'm seeing here in terms of the blue pill. It's time for us to come together and rebuild, okay? Like I told you, we can do this. We will do this, okay? We're being established and prepared to do this. Look at this, self-govern. Didn't I just tell y'all that? We have to rebuild, stand up, rebuild ourselves first. Rebuild yourself first, mentally, spiritually, and physically, and get prepared to self-govern, okay? Because we have the capacity to do it. We was doing it better when we was not underneath a wicked structure. How can you believe that you're going to live better by being controlled by a wicked structure, a criminal structure, than you would be in your sovereignty, without being under the control of people who have a conspiracy, a direct conspiracy and agenda against you and the generations that proceed from you? We're going to be thriving without them. We have not been thriving. With them, we have been surviving and in survival mode. It's time for us to self-govern. Anything else that wants to come out here? And I will be looking into other apps because I appreciate those of you who have given me advice on other groups or other apps that I can download so that I can get a lot of messages out there without having to censor as much. But either way, the message is going to be brought forth. Okay? Go back to sleep. You know that that's the agenda, okay? The puppet masters, that's what they want, for you to go back to sleep. But we're not going to allow that. So I love you all. That was the message behind the conspiracy, the agenda of the blue pill. If you desire a private reading from me, you can always email me. And I thank you all for the donations. Y'all have been very generous. And so I really do appreciate you all for supporting me and my calling. I love you all for that. And those of you who like and subscribe to my channel and leave the comments below, I try to read them all. It's been such a blessing to have so many people that are now coming in to receive these messages. And so I'm not able to respond to every last one of them, but I will do the best that I can to get to them. But I love you all, and I'll talk to you all next time.